But a year later, sluggers like the Bambino were mere foils.
Paul Hubble, the great National League southpaw, the Giants is in the box. Bruce, Gary, Clark, Ben Simmons. Now he has Joe Coleman. The pitch. Strike three, swinging. He struck him out. 5 strikeouts in a row for Letty Hubble of the National League.
How do you like this for a setting? 2 outs. The tying run at third, the winning run at first, last half of the 9th inning, and the 400 hitter of today at the plate, Ted Williams. Russell pitches, Williams swings, there's a high drive, going deep, deep, it is a home run!
The first time the game was played in Anaheim, 16 future Hall of Famers participated in the longest All-Star game ever.
There's a long drive to left field off the bat of Perez. Back goes Yastrzemski looking up. Home run. National League leads 2-1 in the 15th.
Now, 22 years later to the day, the Stars return to the Big A, set to twinkle in the twilight. Major League home run leader Kevin Mitchell. His teammate Will Clark, the NL's top vote getter. The remarkable Bo Jackson. Another Bay Area bomber, Mark McGwire of the defending champion Oakland A's of the American League. The Wizard, Ozzie Smith. The irrepressible Kirby Puckett. And Tony Gwynn of the Padres and Wade Boggs of the Red Sox. 8 batting titles between them. NBC Sports welcomes you to the 60th Midsummer Classic. From Anaheim, it's the All-Star Game. The Big A in Anaheim, home of the surprising Angels, the midway point leaders in the American League West. And we welcome you to this season's All-Star Game. Hi, everybody. Bob Costas. Soon we'll be joined by Marv Albert. And then a bit later, Vin Scully, Tom Seaver, and for an inning, former President Ronald Reagan. In the early days of the All-Star Game, the American League of Ruth, Gehrig, Fox, DiMaggio, and Williams had the upper hand. But eventually the National League came back. And now the overall standings find the National League in front 37 victories to 21 with 1 tie. And since 1963, the NL has truly dominated, winning 22 and losing only 4. A ray of hope for the American League, though. The junior circuit has won 2 of the last 3. Hoping to continue that trend, manager Tony La Russa sends his own Dave Stewart of the Oakland A's to the mound tonight for the American League. He is his league's top winner with a record of 13-4. Tommy Lasorda, the National League skipper, counters with Big Daddy, the amazing Rick Russell of the Western Division leading San Francisco Giants. He's won 12 while losing 3. Now, during All-Star Week, the name of Pete Rose can be pushed out of the headlines, perhaps, but not all the way off the sports pages. Pete was a 17-time All-Star, and he provided us with one of the longest-lasting All-Star images when he bowled Ray Fosse over in 1970. But what will the final image of Pete Rose be? Hall of Famer or baseball outcast? The man baseball hopes will be permitted to decide that is Commissioner Bart Giamatti. And when we come back, he talks with Marv Albert.
The 1989 All-Star Pregame is brought to you by America's Pork Producers, pork, the other white meat. And by Michelin. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Welcome back to Anaheim Stadium on a breezy 76-degree day in Southern California. This 1989 baseball season has been dominated, in some respects overshadowed, by the ongoing developments in the Pete Rose gambling investigation. Baseball Commissioner Bart Giamatti has been in the middle of the storm since all broke loose some 5 months ago back in spring training. Now, Giamatti has not talked at great length about the Rose case, but he did agree to sit down with me yesterday to share some of his views. And I asked the commissioner what was his reaction when he was first informed that there was reason to believe that Rose was betting on baseball.
It was not something that one could take lightly, nor was it something to which one readily assented. I mean, one said, oh my God, and therefore let us do whatever has to be done in as professional and, as I say, impartial and fair a manner as humanly possible.
Well, was it a shock to you when it was first brought
up? Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, without, as I say, getting into what would edge into talking about the the investigation or the report, which I have never done and won't do, even with as distinguished an interlocutor as yourself, sir. Sure, of course. One of the things that I'm always fascinated by when I read about the fact that I must be prejudiced or have made a judgment ahead of time is that I can't imagine what the motive would be. I've never read a plausible motive for why I would have wanted to create such a, as I say, complex and sad and wrenching a situation for that particular person, for Mr. Rose, for his team, for his family, for his city, for Major League Baseball, or for the people, the millions who love it. I mean, one doesn't go on out and create that kind of thing.
Back in spring training, you could have suspended Rose, pending the result of baseball's investigation, with the suspension based on Rose's questionable associations. Why did you not suspend Rose back in March?
Without, again, talking about things that you are skillfully leading me to the edge of, the central allegations, as I said, in this issue were very, very serious, very grave. They went to the core as allegations, and still do, to what baseball conceives of as its central issue, which is integrity around a specific set of allegations. I think it would have been massively and manifestly unfair to have done anything until one had a chance to examine and have a hearing on those central allegations.
So you don't relate it to the Denny McClain suspension?
I relate...
Or DeRocher by Happy Chandler?
It seems to me that I made a very, very clear and conscious decision that we were going to seek the truth wherever it may lie about those allegations, and that until that was resolved one way or the other, to have done anything else along the way would have been, in my opinion, wrong, unfair.
Bart, at any time, have you considered withdrawing from the investigation?
Me? Absolutely not. No. No.
At any time, was there a compromise solution offered to Pete Rose?
No. No.
Did your predecessor, Peter Ueberroth, attempt to come to a face-saving compromise?
I know that it has been so reported. He denies that. I believe him. I had absolutely no reason to think that's the case.
In light of what has occurred this year, do you ever ask yourself, what have I gotten myself into taking this job?
Yeah, I ask myself that in the sense that it has so many ways in which it is now reminiscent of a job I used to have in another place, that I sometimes wonder what has been gained in the swap. So it isn't a question I ask in the sense of, oh my goodness, what am I in? I have a very strong sense of what I'm in, and therefore perhaps I ask it.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a great game.
Baseball Commissioner Bart Giamatti, the one-time president of Yale University, living through the summer of discontent. When we come back, Bob with future Hall of Famer Mike Schmidt, who will be back in uniform for a final time.
And he takes a shot at it. Here it goes. It is out of here. Michael Jack Schmidt with number 500.
Welcome back to Anaheim. There's a player over in the National League dugout who's in a unique position tonight. He's both all-star and old-timer. The Phillies' Mike Schmidt was voted the National League's starting third baseman, despite the fact that, of course, he retired earlier this season. And in fact, during batting practice tonight, there were players from both squads scurrying around trying to get the future Hall of Famer's autograph. A few moments ago, I spoke with Mike Schmidt.
Mike, did you give any serious consideration to taking a turn at bat in this game as your last hurrah?
Not really, Bob. When I realized that I had a chance of being elected to the All-Star game, a lot of people asked me if I'd play if I won the voting. And I, right from the outset, said, no, I'm not going to play. I've retired from the game. I have my reasons. There'd be nothing to gain by me playing in the game. Plus, I'd be taking the spot of a guy that really deserved to be there.
How do you think you'll feel watching one last All-Star game in uniform, but from the bench?
Well, I won't have the butterflies that I would normally have. I'll be sitting in here talking to the players, rooting them on. I know the National League takes this game very seriously, and I want to be helping them with my enthusiasm in the dugout. And I don't want to have to hit against Dave Stewart and Nolan Ryan.
Especially not in this twilight. So a last hurrah for Mike Schmidt, and the next step, he says, is broadcasting. A certain Hall of Famer in another sport, Bill Walsh of the 49ers, is headed for the broadcast booth, too.
Yes, Bob, the man who coached 3 Super Bowl championship teams during the course of the 80s will be joining Dick Enberg in the booth the coach of the 80s in the NFL is joining NBC Sports, and we are delighted about it.
Look, Marv, face it. Everybody wants to be a sportscaster, including former President Reagan. Here we see Ronald Reagan moments ago in the clubhouse trying to pick up some last-minute tidbits and anecdotes before working the first inning with Vin and Tom.
Mike Moore, Jeffrey Leonard,